Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is peace and harmony. What do you do when a relationship has turned against you? You thought you were on the same side. You thought you were having an understanding. You thought you had a certain unspoken rules of engagement or terms of engagement, and all of a sudden this person is treating you with reproach or seems to be turning against you, and feeling that this maybe has been evolving for some time. With our viewers here, I know a lot of viewers have been stuck in this rut of feeling the antagonism, the combativeness, the entitlement, the arrogance, the conceit of a narcissist or a cluster B personality, someone who is borderline personality, histrionic, someone who is, has a lot of moodiness. They're dramatic and erratic. They might even be really sort of antisocial or psychopathic, where they really, according to Facebook, like their mission statement is move fast and break things. So in other words, if you can move fast enough and break things, if you're sly enough, then you don't have to be held accountable. You don't have to have that middle road. You don't have to have the checks and balances or sort of what you might consider justice and freedom. So, and this sort of harkens back to a viewer question, sort of feeling where they've been turned against. So realize that, and thank you very much for your compliment. She says that, the videos are a little bit deep. So yes, some of these topics might be advanced and that this is worth a lot to her. In other words, that this would cost a lot in a therapy shop. So thank you for acknowledging and validating the value of the content. Getting a psychologist is expensive. Not everybody understands sort of this feeling of when people are turned against you. It might be, if someone doesn't really get it, they might attribute it to a wrong cause. So it is very important, and you're right, not a lot of people get it. So I'm so glad that you found the channel, and absolutely positively, if this has been a positive resource for you, please feel free to join, subscribe, comment, and donate to the channel. It's always great to hear from you all. So, what do you do when someone turns against you? What do you, so you have to understand that a healthy, functional relationship is not typified by combativeness, argumentativeness, sort of criticism, trying to judge, trying to control. These are not typifying of or descriptors of a healthy relationship. So when you talk about a relationship with someone who is a cluster B, a narcissist, who has a pathological sense of self-importance, they feel the entitlement, the arrogance to move fast and break things, just like Facebook. Meaning breaking rules, breaking relationships, breaking norms. It's not going to go like this anymore. Sorry, Charlie, but this is not how it's going to fly. And so, in other words, people then end up feeling that they're in this relationship that is laden and replete and thick with betrayal, argumentativeness, combativeness, sort of always treating you with reproach, questioning you. You are not feeling then you have a sense of being approved. So this very problem, I would say, harkens back to the cause in a cluster B relationship that creates the effect. Namely that if they try to pull your strings, almost right like the Home Alone movie where the little guy, Holy McCawkin, is kind of pulling the strings as the guy walks across the movie set, and he's just moving it along like a clothesline, and it looks like someone is there, so he's trying to put on a facade, an act, a movie stage, if you will. So there is like a performance, and this performance of a narcissist oftentimes is typified by, once again, the dramatic and erratic, which means combativeness, argumentativeness. And it doesn't have to be all out yelling, but it can be constantly questioning you, your motives, your behavior. You are being targeted. You are being, it's a tool to really sort of break people down. In that sort of crumbling, in other words, where you feel sort of that you have lost center or focus, it is because if they can use these sort of subtle forms of manipulation, it can cause you to sabotage and then go against yourself. Meaning that the narcissist, they can just sort of wind you up and then let you go like a wind-up doll, feeling sad, unhappy, and then again trying to do something to win their approval. This becomes really like a real important aspect of a narcissist relationship. And Dr. Ramani, she calls this narcissist gift giving. And so, in other words, and she says she feels she made up this term, but I can understand what she is talking about. So I can support that as well. So gift giving means once you have encountered this combativeness, this argumentativeness, this fighting spirit, not just a fighting for victory, like a maiden voyage across the Atlantic or something. We're talking about really sort of fighting, being aggressive, combative as a personality trait, which means it's an enduring trait, which means it is part of who they are. So they will do and resort to this to intimidate, to throw people off, especially on the energetic, emotional level. So if you understand, like our viewer saying, this is, this is a lot of work. Well, this has taken me, this is what I studied in university and college, and understand this. So, and I've seen this. So, and understand this. So, understanding that when you feel that they are against you, and you're always sort of trying to pine and then win for their approval, their validation, the pat on the back, the smile, the kiss, the flash of happiness in the eye, whatever it is, usually you're trying to please them, and then it becomes like a sacrifice or like a gift. In other words, you're not coming from an internal locus of control. It's coming from a need to soothe the narcissist rather than soothe yourself. So this is then how a lot of those anxious and avoidant sort of cluster C, anxiety sort of disorders can be as an after effect and a result. So it's very important to not get this confused and get clarity for yourself on this. And another great colleague who, if you, not only in listening to the channel, but if you need someone to work with, myself or Vincent Genna is also amazing. Vincent Genna, Genna, is also a good individual who understands this as well. And you can check him out on his website. So anyway, when someone turns against you, it is because they are not seeing eye to eye. They have a feeling that you're coming from somewhere else that is not okay with them. In other words, they do not approve. And you really are not working for only the approval of others. Can you imagine, especially when that keeps changing? In other words, be this way for your boyfriend. Be this way for the girlfriend. The boyfriend says, well, why don't you do this? Don't ever cut your hair. Why are you driving this vehicle? Why do you use your fork this way? Why do you boil water this way? Why do you, so everything down to really the subconscious, which means your I am, the existential, is where is the depth of the level of that argumentative combativeness. So it's always a fight. And a lot of people do not enjoy living day in and day out with pain and struggle. And especially for something that they can't ever resolve. Meaning, if you have this like ongoing feeling of no one understands you, no one gets where you're coming from. Things of this nature. So you have to oftentimes realize, because you are trying to pacify the wrong place. You're trying to pacify the wrong person's feelings. You might upset a narcissist. It's not that you're upsetting them, they are upset. And it's not that they have gone against you. I really feel that it's not that they have turned on you. They were never on your side to begin with. So if you can understand, this might be a very painful realization to understand and really get this, because this might really hurt you in the gut level, your stomach, your breathing, your heart rate, the anxiety, difficulty concentrating, difficulty focusing, because of their dramatic and erratic behavior, otherwise known as chaos. So you then are, oftentimes left with a lot of chaos, sort of as an after effect of the relationship. So think of it almost as if it's just sort of like what comes out of the exhaust of an engine, meaning that you're feeling then a lot of this chaos, and it leads to confusion. And this, oftentimes also, the confusion does not get resolved. So people will spend days, weeks, months, years trying to figure out something, why they are not approved of and accepted, why their I am is not embraced. They are not met at that very base level. The narcissist is going to operate by a pathological sense of self-importance, coupled with a lack of empathy. So if you get it very, very simple, that is the the mindset, the vision, the lens with which they are viewing everything with. So it undercuts all situations, relationships, meaning it spills over into work, friendships, their close relationships, their intimate relationships, whatever, they are. It goes with them. So and a lot of people are carrying around all their pain, hurt, combativeness, and trying to resolve it for them. And you're carrying this around, and maybe where have you swallowed this? Where are you still carrying this antagonism and feeling that you are the bad guy, the bad girl, because that is what they will try to paint you as. Period. End of story. You can never appease them, pacify, be approved. You will never, ever be good enough in their eyes. Not tall enough, short enough, fat enough, skinny enough, talented enough, rich enough. It's the bar is always moving. So a lot of people who have tried to pacify, appease, have a successful relationship with these individuals have found that they are not enjoying to be always on the defensive, the other side, part of the one. It's like your character is always on trial, and you don't have any representation because it's already been made sure that there's no footprints, there's no fingerprints, whatever, emotionally, because they don't feel that they have done anything wrong. This is just how they feel. And even though you can even though you've done things to pacify, and you think, oh, well, maybe they will love me now. I changed my hair. Will they love me now? I've changed my job to be what they want. Maybe they will love me now. I've become this. Maybe they will love me. So it's kind of like this becomes like you keep trying to pacify or get that reward from the narcissist. And it might work for one or two situations. They might go, oh, wow, well, you finally are dressed trendy. Well, now you're acceptable. Now you have, you just got a $22,000 this. Now you're acceptable. You just did this and this. Now you're acceptable. You have this. Now you're acceptable. So it's very condition based. And really, when you talk about positive self-regard and what really love means, it's an unconditional sense of positive self-regard, meaning if you stepped in a puddle, you're still lovable. It means if you made a mistake, you broke something, you're still lovable. You're still a good person. To err is human. So if you are being sort of judged just for being a human being, this will never feel that it resolves in your lifetime then. So realize that they're not really on your side to begin with, even though you might feel you're trying to get on their side. So the whole problem with the relationship is that of division and sides. And very interesting enough, I was thinking about the Pledge of Allegiance, for the American flag. And I know that, a lot of people will resonate with their country flag, their country leader, their mentor, a religious figure, something. But, the pledge to the American U.S. flag is, I pledge allegiance, and you cover your heart. I pledge allegiance, to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, which means, indivisible, which means can't be divided. So if you understand the cause that creates this effect of the division, and realize that those people who are insecure are the combative, they're the argumentative, they're the rage, they're bullying, the intimidating, causing you fear, causing you to be reactive, like a knee jerk when you go to the doctor and they go the hammer to the knee. That's what they want, because then splat, you're going to fall. There's your puppet strings, and for a lot of people, they are so have rehearsed and rememorized this reaction, so they don't know themselves any other way. And then you might feel that you really don't know your authentic self, or you don't like where your life is headed. So this is all under the realm and jurisdiction of your control. This is yours to correct. So you have to realize that separation is the division that they will create through triangulation, through a smear campaign, ruining your reputation, all sorts of different things. And also remember, we go back to sort of depending on the spectrum. We talk about, if you watch on Netflix, The Social Dilemma, it would be very informative. It might be create a lot of controversy for you, but it's very important, I would say, especially now, you understand situations like this, especially if you've been damaged, hurt, victimized, traumatized, targeted by someone who is argumentative or combative in this way. It's just their personality type. It is resistive to change. It will always be that way, just like whatever you have. And this might be very unattractive or very ugly, the internal aspect of them, despite their exterior. So when you understand that this wobbliness, like a viewer so aptly stated, they are trying to put you on shaky ground. So this is where they like you. They like you struggling. They like you suffering. It gives them a feeling of a rise, juice, I'm not sure, reward, that they win, they're right, all these different things. So this is on the daily. This is not just for one situation. This is how they are. This is their personality type. So you might find that your juxtaposition or on another area of the spectrum, if you will, than this person. Do you want to be argumentative, combative, and suffering and have emotional challenges and then end up alone at the end of the day with nothing, in your hands to show for of the relationship, because you're always seeking to approve or to seek approval or acceptance from the combative? In other words, do you see how you end up focusing on the wrong thing? You're trying to pacify, appease, and soothe an abuser versus yourself. So this is what we call the external locus of control in psychology. And so this is not good when this gets out of balance. So you really want to understand, look at, and clarify what is an internal locus of control. What does that feel like, sound like, smell like? You have to understand what that is and learn how to work the dials. And like our viewer stated, She felt that her life was like a dungeon, which means very dark, very dank, not a lot of light, joy. Things are not on the up and up in a dungeon. Things are sort of on the down and down, the down low, the off the grid, the I'm going nowhere, I'm escaping stage left. So you don't feel that you're impassioned, enlivened, living your purpose. So we're talking really about your own juice that has been targeted for that combativeness. So you have to understand the true depth of the impact and what this really means in relationships and why it is so. It also explains to me, in understanding and hearing a lot of people's situations, why it is so difficult to flip the switch. Why is it so difficult to do the reset, that what is actually the new normal for you? What is right for you? If you've been rehearsed and rememorized, it's right to fight, be combative, hurt, cry, whatever, all these things that you have been programmed and trained and taught to be. Realize that this is something, thank goodness, that you can unlearn. If you've been schooled in how to be anxious, if you have had the game book for how to live with low self-esteem, if your recipe book is how do I, 1 cup of, downward depression, So in other words, this combativeness, if what is it really truly giving you, don't be afraid to see what it really is, because people, if they're caught up on that sort of other sides, chances are you're in so numb and so oppressed to your own needs that whole place is like shut out. In other words, you've been told that you're the dungeon, you're the basement, you're the loser, you're the one, all these conditions. If your skin is this, then, if you have a pimple, if you have it's just something, your organic self, we're talking about something that you don't have any choice over. That is, so that is why people do not feel embraced, loved, acknowledged, validated in these relationships. And then they make the same mistake again and again. It must be me. I'm the constant here. Realize that if you realize this division, oftentimes though people don't want to see where the division is, and then for goodness sake see that there's nothing that they can do. This person will go on being combative, they'll go on being argumentative, they'll go on throwing other people under the bus, they'll go on always trying to look like the best, the number one, the right. So that's just how they are. Let them, you can allow people to dance to their own drum, do their own jig, whatever it is that they are about. That's what they're about. And if you have been overly committed because your I am somehow got tangled up into that, your I am is defined by appeasing them. So you're okay when they're okay or not angry at you. So do you see how you cannot, it's an equation, you cannot be responsible for another person's evolution, feelings, emotions, decisions, judgment, things that they do, things that they won't do, things that they have done, things, you cannot be responsible for this other person. That's where you're carrying another person's shame or pain that does not belong to you. And a good red flag of this is, like our viewers say, they break out into tears for no reason. All these different things. Things are difficult. There's a struggle. They don't get it. They're confused. It's oftentimes because they have numbed out the fact that, or they have felt so rejected by this person, or so unwanted, so not good enough. It almost goes to where people feel that they have nothing or are nothing. And nothing is a big, really sort of painful thing to feel that that's what you're, air quotes, becoming. It could not be any further from the truth. You are important. Your feet are right where they should be. You are just as you should be. If your hair's, you got a hair out of place, you got a piece of dirt on your shoe, you might even have a wrinkle in your shirt. There might be something that is what they would consider off about you. guess what? You don't, if you go with that as your target, you will never be happy. You will never experience happiness. You will not experience peace. You will not experience your strength. You will not experience your joy, your own smile. Your face will just try to, like gravity, you'll just feel that it's being pulled or weighed down. That is negative, what I call negative orderly direction, thinking, feeling, behaving, and becoming. So you've got kind of some little decisions and different directions that you can take. Especially after you look at this relationship, you need to be able to back off and see realistically and objectively where you were hurt, and then understand the cause that creates this effect, and that you're not a loser. You're not too weak. You're not too sensitive because you don't want to put up and shut up, or you're told that you are supposed to be or do something different. You're supposed to be a doctor and you're a carpenter. You're supposed to be a carpenter and you're a doctor. You're supposed to be you're supposed to be a lawyer and you find out you're an architect. The narcissist needs you to be a business owner and you're a manager. I mean, you will always be off target for them, and they will not rest on not letting you know that. So they're really those people who feel that, and this becomes very exploitative, which means they can throw you under the bus and then take your people pleasing tendencies, if you will, that you've been trained, programmed, or coached to behave as if with this relationship, because the narcissist will train their supply to be this, do this, and then even mind read, guess when I'm ready for this. So you can't even have that sort of coherency of thought. It becomes very incoherent or confusing to try to always appease or pacify and be responsible for awakening the narcissist to what love is, awakening the psychopath to what love is. You don't need to be responsible for having them see things your way, because they will not, they cannot, they do not have the eyes, the heart, the mind, the compassion, the empathy, the time, whatever it is. They have another agenda, and being on your side is not part of where they're with, meeting in the middle, empathy. That's not part of being on your side. So if you have felt this combativeness or this division or separation, realize that is oftentimes the problem, and they will fight because of this. If you understand really, how important it is to embrace the differences of others, embrace others' feelings, embracing other walks of life, other cultures, other values, instead of being threatened, if you are open and not judgmental, then you'll realize, oh, okay, I see the similarity, I see the bridge. And the narcissist, the psychopath, they are not into bridge building. They are into bridge removing, trying to pull the parts. Nope, the building isn't going to be over here. It's going to be over here. The walkway is not here. It's going to be. They're going to change whatever track, train, momentum, motive you have, especially if it's your authentic, because they cannot meet you where the rubber meets the road. They will not be on your side. They will not have empathy. They will not want to listen. They will not want to hear. They will not give you a chance. And even so, if you found yourself in this, realize that, maybe it's okay to stop fighting. Maybe this is not how you want your life to be driven, to be like the angry business owner, the business owner who's always angry, the da-da-da who's always, do you see what I'm saying? So realize that this oftentimes is that high level where it can be part of the love bombing in the beginning. It can be that same air quotes buzz, which the narcissist will always usually have this very exhilarating or exciting, I'm the best, I'm where it's at, I am whatever. So there's usually going to be, some sort of quality trait statement that they make that makes them superior, better than, special than anybody else. And then anybody else includes you. But then you're air quotes lucky enough to be associated in the same room, the same car, the same phone, the same email list as them. They'll basically, make it in no uncertain terms that there is an us and a them, and that you are on the other side. And then what do I need to do? What do you need to do to become like a pulpvol? And how do I get to and please this person? So you don't need to be something for this person that they're trying to make you out to be. They're trying to mold you and shape you like an object, meaning and so this is not this is not how humanity works. And it will cause you to go against yourself, meaning that you're not honoring yourself. And this becomes very catastrophic if you are so shut out, meaning you have so much pain that you're still in that pacifying, give the narcissist a pacifier or a sucker or whatever it is that you feel is going to shut, do you see how it becomes a pattern? And so what do you do? Well, if you can kind of understand that they're the ones who are creating the divide. So, and each time it's getting thicker, more intense, and realize, did they ever come over to your side to begin with? And if you might need to answer that question, and perhaps that question can set you free. It might not feel very good. You might not want to hear this. This might be devastating. This might be difficult. And this is true. It is difficult. It is devastating. It is hurtful to feel that this has gone on. But if you can understand the cause that's created this effect and look at through things objectively, realize that oftentimes you are not into wall building. You are not into separation. You are not into fighting and all that. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can be you. It's okay to think differently than an abuser. It's okay to be different than someone who is hostile, aggressive, and combative. You do not have to be that way. You don't have to live on the same pace, the same goals, the same drives, the same ambitions. It's okay to be different. You might need permission. The narcissist will not give you permission. They don't like other people to be empowered. They don't like other people to win. They feel challenged by this. This could be a problem for them because you might have learned something. You might have something. You might be empowered. And then this, all of a sudden, it can't become big enough for the both of you. Just like that, what was that movie? This town ain't, So this is really how they are, which couldn't be further from the truth. This is erroneous thinking, creating an emotional minefield that you have to become sensitive to, and what they call in psychology is walking on eggshells. Get rid of the eggs. Get rid of the shells that you're trying to walk on. It doesn't sound very good. It doesn't feel good. And then a lot of people just have this sort of really anxious anxiety, which ripples up almost from the ground up.